Welcome to DadMode, God, Grit, and Goals. This is season 2, and I have been working on this book called Oh My God, Rediscovering Awe, Identity, and Purpose in a World of Doubt. And it's a deeply personal journey through faith, doubt, and finding renewed purpose in everyday life. The book isn't just my story. It's about all of us who's ever felt spiritually stuck or distant or are unsure how to reconnect with something greater than ourselves. So while the book leans into my personal experiences, practical tools that I've found helpful, and some honest reflections, I wanted to share something a little different here today. Because I'm still refining the book and I think I still have a ways to go, but I wanted to check myself and just make sure that the intent is right. And so I put together a little creative teaser for you, a way to capture the heart of the book in a fresh and imaginative format. The actual book is far more conversational and packed with actionable insights, but this story gives you a glimpse of the journey you're going to find in its pages. So hopefully this will help you understand what I've been working on in a fun way. And I'd love your feedback on this. And I think it's going to be more interesting than me reading chapter by chapter, which is kind of what I planned on doing, but I'm still tweaking it too much. So I'm calling this the Archer's Journey. And this is a creative exercise. And full disclosure, I used ChatGPT to actually read my book and come up with a story. And so it's pretty good. So I'm just going to read it to you. It's called The Archer's Journey. So in a small town nestled between the rolling hills, a young man named Leo lived an ordinary, predictable life. He worked as a carpenter, rising with the sun to craft furniture for neighbors and friends. Despite his skill and steady work, a sense of restlessness gnawed at him. Life felt mechanical, as if he were marking time instead of truly living. One evening, Leo found himself staring at a weathered bow and a quiver of arrows hanging in his workshop. His father had given them to him long ago, saying, "Son, life is a series of taking shots. You'll miss many, but don't fear the misses. They teach you how to aim." And at the time, Leo had laughed, but tonight the bow seemed to whisper, "There's more." Leo decided to set out on a journey to find the elusive more. Early the next morning, he slung the bow over his shoulder and wandered into the hills. The fog of doubt. As Leo walked, doubts clouded his mind like a thick fog. He'd heard of people who found purpose and joy, but he wasn't sure he believed in such things. His own life seemed full of missed shots, relationships strained, opportunities wasted, and a nagging fear that he wasn't enough. And by mid-afternoon, the fog grew so dense that Leo could hardly see the path ahead. Exhausted and frustrated, he shouted, "Why am I even doing this? Is there anyone out there who can help me?" A gentle voice answered from the mist, "I've been here all along." Startled, Leo turned to see a traveler dressed in simple, earth-toned robes. The man's eyes were kind, and he carried a staff with a faint glow at its tip. "Who are you?" Leo asked. "Call me the guide," the man replied. "I've walked this path before. Would you like help finding your way?" Leo hesitated. "I don't know if I can trust you." "That's okay," the guide said. "Walk with me, and you'll see." The Valley of Grace. The two walked together until they reached a clearing where the fog lifted. The valley below was alive with light and color. The guide led Leo to a small stream and handed him a mirror-like shard of polished stone. "Look," the guide said. Leo peered into the shard and saw himself, not as he appeared, but as someone deeply loved and valued. It was as if the reflection was saying, "You're more than your mistakes. You are cherished just as you are." "But I've missed so many shots," Leo whispered. "True," the guide said, "but you're not defined by your misses. Grace covers everyone. It's not about what you've done, but what I've done for you. Tears welled up in Leo's eyes. What do I do now? Let grace transform you, the guide said. We have more ground to cover. The mountain of identity. As they climbed higher, the guide began to teach Leo about who he truly was. You're not just a carpenter or a wanderer, the guide explained. You were made to reflect the goodness of the Creator. Leo began to see glimpses of himself in a new light. His talent for craftsmanship, his compassion for others, even his quirky sense of humor. These weren't accidents. They were gifts meant to bring beauty to the world. Every arrow you shoot is an opportunity to reflect that goodness, the guide said. It doesn't matter if you miss. What matters is that you aim with love and purpose. The crossroads of community. At the summit, Leo saw a bustling village below. The guide led him into town square, where a group of people had gathered. They were a mix of young and old, each carrying their own bow and arrows. Some practiced together, laughing at their misses and encouraging one another to try again. Who are they? Leo asked. They're your tribe, the guide replied. Faith isn't meant to be a solo journey. These people will walk with you, challenge you, and remind you of your aim when you forget. Nervous but hopeful, Leo joined the group. He quickly realized they weren't perfect, but they were honest and supportive. For the first time, he felt a sense of belonging. The battlefield of purpose. As Leo grew more confident in his aim, the guide pointed to the horizon. A dark forest loomed in the distance, its shadow stretching towards the village. There's work to be done, the guide said. The world is full of brokenness and fear. Your arrows of love, truth, and hope can pierce the darkness. But I'm not strong enough to fight that, Leo said. You're not alone, the guide reminded him. The Creator's strength flows through you. Every small act, every arrow you release in faith pushes back the darkness. Inspired, Leo gathered his tribe, and together they ventured into the forest. They encouraged one another as they faced challenges, leaning on the guide's wisdom when they felt overwhelmed. The journey continues. Years later, Leo stood at the edge of the same clearing where he had first met the guide. His quiver was lighter now, but his heart was full. The valley below, once foggy and uncertain, was now a place of light and growth. The village thrived and the shadows of the forest had receded. You've come far, the guide said, appearing beside him. But there's still much to do, Leo replied, smiling. The guide nodded. There always is. But remember, the aim isn't perfection, it's faithfulness, and you've been faithful. With that, Leo turned towards the horizon. The journey wasn't over, but he was no longer afraid of missed shots. He knew the Creator walked with him, and every arrow released in faith was part of a story far bigger than his own. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that. It is a foreshadowing of my book. It does follow the themes and a bit of my story. So I am looking for people that are interested in an early copy that wouldn't mind reading through it and giving me some feedback, because I'm at that point where I'm kind of trying to polish it at this point. So if you enjoy reading, I would love to get you a copy. Just reach out to me. You can hit me up at my email. I'll put it in the link here, but it's miketobias.me@gmail.com. So have a great day. Thanks for listening in. Love you. Hope you had a great Christmas and a happy New Year. Have a great day. Remember, God is good. Jesus has forgiven me. You are loved, and everything is possible.